Hey guys, what's up? Um, I'm sitting at the park right now, and my car is dead. Well, it's not absolutely dead, but it's just not cranking. Can't get it started. It's not cranking. I was at the park and spent about an hour jogging, hour and a half jogging. Came back, and my car's not starting. I will say that this is not my first time having this issue. I've been having this issue sporadically for like the last couple months, but lately it's been, I'd have to try more than usual to turn on. I'd have to try to start it a couple of times. I mean, last week I had to try to start this car, I'd say like 7 times before it turned over, and then it worked fine afterwards. But right now it's just totally dead. Well, not totally dead. I mean, it just won't start like before. But I mean, I've tried about 20 times now to try to start up, and it's not starting at all. I've only been out for like an hour and 30 minutes. Parked my car an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm pretty sure I didn't leave the lights on. Checked, didn't need the lights on. Even I think an hour and 30 minutes, that's not gonna kill the battery to the point where it won't start, turn over. So but I mean, that was the first thing that popped up. Dead battery. Maybe it's weak, maybe it's whatever. But I went out, turned the headlights on, and just checked to see how bright the headlights were, and the headlights were pretty bright. So I'm like, nah, it's probably not the battery, but I don't know 100% if that's the case. I didn't know 100% that was the case. So, I mean, it took me about like 5-6 minutes to get somebody to help me out, jump the car. And funny enough, there was somebody there who was just hanging around in his car, and I'm like, hey, could you help me jump my car? Got cables, and had the cables on the battery for, I said, a good 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes. I'd say like 2 minutes. Had it on for 2 minutes, but that would be good enough. I mean, it would be good enough. All right. I would at least hear like a slow crank if it was the battery that was the issue. But I didn't hear anything. I tried it a couple of times, turned on, didn't hear anything but a click, which I was hearing before. Hooking up the battery, hooking up the cables to the battery, jumping it. So at that moment, I knew I was in for a bigger issue than just a battery issue, terminals or whatever. I mean, my terminals are 100% clean, so I always make sure to check the terminals to make sure if they're 100% clean if I'm having these issues. But my terminals were pretty clean, so it's not the battery. So I'm like, it's not the battery. Could it be the alternator? And just by thinking about it, it couldn't be the alternator, because this car wasn't running when it decided not to start, and even previous situations, the car wasn't, it wasn't running. When I tried to, it wasn't running with the issues that I had. Normally with alternator issues, you would have a bad alternator if the car died out on you while you were driving. I mean, it could be other things, but normally alternator issues, that's it happens with the engine running, and this engine was not running at all. So and also I'm 100% sure of it, because I actually if you hook up cables to the battery, and if the alternator was dead because of and you can't start it, and it's because of the alternator, hook up cables to the battery and you turn the car on, it should just crank right up. It should just crank right up. And once you take the cables off, the car would just die out, and 100% sure that it was the alternator that was the problem. Okay, so it's not the alternator. 100% sure it's not the alternator. 100% sure it's not the battery either. So what next? What do I do next? So I was thinking, What else? It could be either a relay or a blown fuse, right? A relay or a blown fuse. Now, I don't have anything to test out the relay or the fuse on this car. I mean, it would be pretty easy to test out the fuses. The relay, not as easy, but I'm gonna say it's not the relay. It's not the starter relay. It's not the fuel pump relay. It's not the starter relay, and definitely not the fuel pump relay. It's not the starter relay. I know it's not the starter relay because I hear a click. I hear a click. You hear a click every time. Try to start it. You hear a click. I mean, it gets faint. You know, the more you do it, because, you know, the battery gets strained, but you do hear a click. So, I mean, the relay relays electricity from, you know, the battery to the starter. It relays electricity to the starter, and because you're hearing that click, it means that the solenoid's firing off. It's just that the engine is just not turning over. It's not cranking up. It's not running. So, at that point, I know it's not the relay. I mean, I can't say I'm 100% sure it's not the relay, but I'm going to say to a good certainty that it's not the relay. Like 90% sure it's not the relay. I'd have to test it out to make, you know, to make that 100%, but 90% sure it's not the relay. So what else? What else did I test out? I'm thinking, could it be a fuse? Maybe it could be a fuse, but all the times that I've had issues with fuses with this car, well, not this car, but I mean, with cars that I've had previously. So here's the thing about it. Twice I had fuse issues and it affecting my car starting up, not being able to start up. So I'm like, first issue with the fuse that I had was, you know, it would crank. Everything works, it would crank, but it won't turn over. It would crank, it won't turn over. It would crank up, it won't turn over. But that's not the issue here, because this car won't crank at all. It's not cranking at all. So that's not part of that fuse. That's not that particular fuse problem that I had before. Okay? Rule that out. The second fuse no start issue that I had was okay, it was a main fuse that was blown. Okay, I drove it around and parked it, had my car on, and my car just died out immediately. Thought it was an alternator to begin with, but after doing some testing, found out that it was a main fuse that was blown. And had that, and I, you know, and that was the case because everything just, you know, nothing worked in the car. Like as if the cables were taken off the battery, nothing worked in the car. So that was a situation where the main fuse that was blown on the car. But that's not the issue here. That's not the issue here because, you know, I get lights on the dash, blow motor works, everything works in the car. So not a problem here. Now, obviously, the last thing, well, not exactly the last thing, but the last obvious thing that could cause this is the starter. It's probably the first obvious thing. Well, not the first. Battery would be the first. Well, okay. Not the first obvious thing, but it's an obvious thing. The starter. Now, I didn't think it would be the starter that would be the issue. And I'm doing this video while I'm waiting for the AAA to tow my car. And I called them up about 30 minutes ago. I'm still waiting for them. But might as well do a video on this since I'm in this situation. The starter. I didn't think it was going to be the starter because I had the starter swapped out about 1.5 years ago. Had the starter swapped out 1.5 years ago. Bought a rebuilt starter from AutoZone for like $150, $175, somewhere around there. And the core charge was like $30. I think that was it. Anyway, you know, I was thinking that I would get a lot more usage out of the starter than what I have so far. If it is the starter, I'm not quite sure. I'm not 100%. I'm like 90%, 99% sure. Well, not 99%. Say like maybe like 80% sure that it is the starter that's the problem. So here's the situation. All right. What the starter is, a rebuilt starter, not a brand new starter. I've had situations before where I bought rebuilt starters, rebuilt alternators, rebuilt stuff. If you guys don't know anything about rebuilt stuff, most of the times, all the times probably when they fix the rebuilt starter, is they change up just that part of the starter or whatever it is, alternator, that's broken. They don't actually rebuild the whole entire thing. So you could have, one component that's brand new on there, and then the rest of it has like 150,000 miles on it. The truth. The absolute truth. But even still, I didn't think that, I still don't know if it's a starter or not. I mean, it's hard for me to believe. I've only put on maybe like 15,000 miles for a year and a half, maybe a year and a half, 15,000 miles. And, right now I'm sitting in my car and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm thinking it's a starter. Now, I could do a couple of tests on it. I could try to like bump the starter, just bump it. If I have a long crowbar or something like that, bump it and then try to start it, see if I could get like one more start out of it. And if it does start up, it's definitely the starter. But I don't have that at the moment, and I'm not gonna go out and do that. I've done that before, but I don't want to do it in this situation. The other thing is, I could probably put a wire to the solenoid, to one of the solenoid terminals, and see if the starter cranks up or not. But I'm waiting for AAA. I'm gonna be waiting for AAA. See how that works out. Kind of sucks. And if it turns out to be the starter, this won't be the first time that I've had a rebuilt starter and having it go out on me prematurely, like within 2 years. I've had an alternator that went out on me within 6 months. Rebuilt. I'm a big fan of OEM parts. Probably should have just bought a used starter from eBay OEM and pop it in. I would probably be on the road right now instead of making this video. But I'll let you guys know. AAA is gonna be here to tow my car. I'll let you guys know what happened to my car. Hey guys, so my car is now working fine, and you guys guessed it. If you guys guessed like me that it was the starter, and it was the starter, it was still under warranty. Brought it to AutoZone, and man, I did a little complaining, to them about the starter only lasted that long. They said it's under warranty. You get a brand new, not a brand new one. You get another rebuilt starter, but it's free of charge. I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is, I gotta spend time out of my day. I gotta spend time out of my day to put it in, take it out, put it in. Or if I was gonna pay for it, I would have to spend money out of my pocket to do it. Pain in the butt. Turned out to be the starter. It's not like the absolute worst situation in the world, but I would rather not have situations like this come up. It's just really a pain in the butt. And when I change a part on a car, I'm hoping that I get a certain amount of usage out of it. And I was thinking maybe 100,000 miles over, maybe like well over 100,000 miles. But guess what? They gave me another rebuilt starter, popped it in, it works. I've got a rebuilt starter in my car. So I got a rebuilt starter in my car. All right, replace a rebuilt starter with another rebuilt starter. Sucks. And what are you gonna do? I mean, I didn't want to spend $300 instead of getting a replacement for free. I didn't want to spend $300 out of my pocket to get, you know, a brand new one. And even the brand new ones, I've heard stories, situations where people bought brand new stuff and it goes out on them anyway. But anyway, I'm glad that that situation's resolved. Really pain in the butt, frustrating, aggravating stuff that I really wish wouldn't happen. But apparently it is what it is, kind of thing. But you guys have any comments, please leave your comments in the comment section. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, guys. All right. Hope this has helped you out as far as your issues with your car. Hope hope if you do have this kind of situation that is as simple. No, not as simple, but it's not worse than that. All right, guys. Take care.